Bum, 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 the Theatre Mum. Bum. Hello everyone and welcome back to The Theatre Mum, the podcast that shines a light on all the jobs you can do in the creative industries that aren't being on the West End or being in Hollywood films or being on Broadway, and just having a look at different things you can do. I'm Holly Lucas. Hi, and this week I'm on my Todd. I'm on my own, guys, because I've not arranged to interview anybody. That's really it. I've been absolutely ramalama ding-donged the last few weeks. I got this performing job over half term, which was super duper fun, and I'm doing that job again in the summer holidays, as well as doing voiceover work as well, and, you know, looking after children and dogs and my husband, you know. So I've actually had zero time to fart, let alone record a podcast episode. So here we are. So I thought this week I would do a little Q&A episode, and I asked for some questions, and shockingly, people actually asked me some questions. So now I actually have to follow through with this Q&A episode, for God's sake, guys. Just to preface this episode, just by saying anything I say in this is my opinion only. Do not take it as the gospel, okay? People have different opinions, and that's okay. You might not agree with anything I say, and that is the beauty of being a human, isn't it? We can have different opinions and not hate each other about it. So, my first question I have is, what side hustles have you done? God, oh my God. So this is obviously when you're working in particularly the performing industry, you tend to have more than one job because, alas, we don't always get to do performing and creative jobs like we would want to all the time. So sometimes you do have to supplement your income with another job that you perhaps would not put at the top of your list of things you wanted to do when you were 5 and had to fill out that questionnaire about what job you would do. I did one in secondary school, actually, and it said that I was going to be a truck driver based on the answers to my questions. And I am yet to do that. I shan't poo-poo it if the opportunity comes along. But so far, I've never driven a truck. God, some of the side hustles I've done. I used to do a lot more side hustles when I first kind of came into the industry, early 20s, just because I had to. And actually, my side hustle, my first one, was being a customer service rep at this big company. And I would just arrange hire cars for other companies. And that was going to be my on the side job while I looked for acting work. Unfortunately, it was full-time and I was there for 2 years, and it destroyed my soul. But it did pay the bills. There was a benefit. And I eventually got to a point where I was like, well, I'm not getting any acting work by staying here. I'm kind of shutting off any performing work from coming in by saying, I need to work full-time. So one day I just quit, and it was quite scary. My partner at the time was quite against me quitting because obviously then I wouldn't have a secure income. So it was totally understandable, but also I was not in a fit state to stay there. So I ended up leaving. But I'll tell you what, that customer service experience that I gained, I had to deal with quite a few difficult customers, and let me tell you, my acting work helped me in that quite a lot. Since then, I've done loads of other things. I started with social media marketing because my degree from university was in drama and creative writing. And I thought, well, at least I'll be writing something and using my degree in some way by doing social media marketing. And it was quite fresh then, that sort of job role, when I started doing that. So I had a few different clients, and then I kind of worked as a freelance writer for lots of different people, mostly managing their social media. And then, as is my way, got bored of that after about a year and was like, okay, I'll still keep it on the side at the moment, but I'll delve into different areas of writing and ended up doing a lot of blog writing for different people. Sometimes interesting subjects, sometimes things I had no idea about at all, but it is amazing what you can blag as a writer. I've also, I did some other admin work, some temp work. I did waitressing. Oh my, that was because lots of performers do go into waitressing or bar work because it's easy and it fits, flexible, and it fits around auditions and things like that. And you can kind of drop in and out. So I thought, I'll try that. So I first started at quite a high-end restaurant that was just opening. And I did sort of the few days training. I was there for the opening. And then after 1 week, I handed in my notice. The point that made me realise I needed to hand my notice in there was when the management told me I needed to wear some more makeup. And I thought, do you know what? I don't think this is for me. But I did think, I can't give up on waitressing straight away. Let me try somewhere that's a bit less high end. So I ended up working at this American diner, which was a way better atmosphere. They were still quite strict, but that's okay. I could deal with that. But I literally was only there for about 3 months. And I'm just not good at waitressing. I think it's the anxiety of thinking, I'm going to drop this tray of food. I'm going to spill these drinks all over these people over here. I'm going to get your order wrong and then you're going to complain to me and then I have to deal with people shouting at me. And I don't really like that. I don't like being shouted at, especially over things that I've got no control over. So the waitressing didn't last long. After that, I was a stable hand because I thought, you know what, maybe I just need to not be around people. So I was around horses and I did that for 2 years. And God, it was nice. It was, I know I was literally shoveling shit, but I literally went in at it was like between 6 and 7 in the morning until 10 a.m. And it was just like a weekday job. And then it gave me the whole day to do all the other shit I wanted to do. So it was so flexible and the horses were just so nice and really great listeners. Thank you. Since then, I ended up doing some more writing work, and it kind of fluctuates with the performing and the writing at the moment, where sometimes I'm doing more writing work than I am performing. But the writing work is so flexible because I can just do it from anywhere. And I worked for quite a few years recently for a branding company, writing lots of different bits of copy for them, whether it was blogs or Amazon listings. So very salesy and marketing based, because that's really where my experience is. And I do like writing. I wouldn't have done it as part of my degree if I didn't enjoy doing it, even if I don't particularly enjoy the subject that I'm writing about. I mean, I worked for a few years as a copywriter for a wedding business. So I was writing about lots of different types of things to do with weddings. So that was quite fun. I'm also quite arty-farty. So I also sell artwork. I sell on Etsy. It was another one of those light bulb moments where I was like, that would be a good idea. I bet people would buy that. And it turns out they actually do. And I basically draw Shakespeare quotes, but the ones that are Shakespeare insults. I sell under the name Luxurious Goat. Because that's actually one of the Shakespeare insults has luxurious goat in the quote, and I thought, that'd be a great name for a little business, Luxurious Goat Art. Who do I think I fucking am, honestly? So I sell those, and they're sort of quirky little art prints, and it's just a nice little side hustle. It really doesn't make me that much money at all, but I like drawing, so there we are. And I think I've done so many jobs over the years that I haven't enjoyed, that I'm now at a stage in my life where I feel like, why do I want to spend my time doing things that I don't like doing? That feels counterproductive. I know I need to earn money, but I can earn money doing things that don't make me want to rip out my eyeballs. So And the last couple of years, I've still got side hustles like the artwork and a little bit of writing on the side, but it's quite minimal compared to the amount of performing I'm doing at the moment, which is great. I also work in the box office at my local theatre, at the Watermill Theatre, which is lovely. I've literally been a casual member of staff there since 2018. I don't think most of them even know I exist. But that's okay, because I turn up every 3 months to save the day because there's no one in the box office, you know? And I get to see the shows that they put on there, which are always really lovely. They've got Chitty Chitty Bang Bang on at the moment there, which I highly recommend. I love their summer shows because they use the garden now, which they've started doing in lockdown. And I think they realised, gosh, we could utilise so much space here, and they do. My goodness. But Chitty Bang Bang is, I love a classic sometimes. It's just nice to watch them. There's something nostalgic about them, isn't there? Oh my God, that was like me reading out my CV to you. I mean, what do you guys do as a side hustle? There's so many different things you can do, but I just think just find something that isn't completely soul destroying, especially if it ends up being a primary source of income whilst you're looking for work. And my sort of requirements for a side hustle are they're completely flexible. So if I suddenly get a job, I know I can go and they're not going to make me feel bad about going to do what I want to do. Which was the best and which was the worst? The worst was the waitressing, hands down. That was bad. The best, do you know what? The best is probably the stable hand stuff. I'm quite an outdoorsy person anyway, and I love animals and I love nature, so I didn't leave there out of choice. They had to let me go because they were all moving off to America, and I was really upset about it at the time. But I think things usually happen for a reason, don't they? What would your dream side hustle be? I actually really love writing, so I'd love to be able to write books and get paid for it, not just write books in my free time and then spend 2 years submitting them to publishing houses. I'd love to get paid for that. Or writing for video games. I did a mocap course a few years ago. Motion capture, if you are thinking, what the hell are you talking about, mocap, you nonsense talker? I did a little course with a company called Performance Captured Academy, which was run by Neil Newbon, who is a very accomplished mocap artist and percap artist. He's done loads of amazing things. The latest Baldur's Gate, he was one of the main characters in that, and won an award for it as well. So well done you, Neil. And I really loved that course. Doing mocap is kind of like a mixture of doing theatre work and film work, because the movements you do are so big and the space is so huge that you're working in. But when you're doing percap and you've also then got the video cam on your face as well, so it's kind of like those close-up film shots that you get whilst doing the theatre work. It's just such a really nice blend, and it's very freeing. I would love to do more of that work, but I have very regularly looked into writing for video games, because I'm a bit of a nerd. But I like the classic PS2, PS1 games, Spyro the Dragon, Crash Bandicoot, They're the ones I love, really. I'm not really into Fallout and things like that, so Baldur's Gate was like a dream. Anything fantastical is right up my street. If you weren't a performer, what would you be? That's so funny. I literally had this discussion with some people the other day. If I wasn't a performer, my first thing I would have done would have been an animator. I did actually quite seriously look into that job. I'd probably be earning more flipping money now if I did that than what I chose to bloody do. But never mind. And, who knows, in a few years I might dip out of the entertainment industry and go into animation. Who knows? Curveball, though, my other one would have been a marine biologist. I think it's the nature animal thing. I just love being near the water. What's your favourite creative job you've done? I mean, there are some shows and things that I've done that I really did enjoy. I did the Polar Express 2 years in a row with this company based in Norfolk, and had the loveliest time. I mean, it was really hard work. Coming up to Christmas, we were doing 4 shows a day on the train, and it's tiring and very demanding, but it's really rewarding. And for some people, it's kind of an annual visit on that experience. And people get very emotionally invested. It's amazing what Christmas brings out in people. And I made some great friends doing that, because you're just bringing joy to lots of people, especially, of all age. I was going to say especially children, but it's really of all ages. And got some wonderful people work on that. I recently did some adult pantos as well with another company in Norfolk. I seem to spend all my life in fucking Norfolk, for God's sake. Give me a job near where I live, I beg ya. They were so great. It's a company called Now That's What I Call Panto, but they also have another company called Now That's What I Call Drag. They were so funny. I had such a great time doing the shows with them, and my previous experience of Panto, I didn't have such a great time, so I was a little hesitant going into it, but I needn't have been, because they were just really welcoming, really funny, and really accommodating, and I would work with them again in a heartbeat, because they're just the loveliest bunch of people. I've actually worked a few times at a theme park near where I live as well, doing some mini musicals at different seasons within the year. And I keep going back there because I actually really enjoy doing it. Again, it's quite hard work because it shows for children, so you have to be on it and buzzing all the time. But I really like doing that job itself. And I managed to just sort of avoid any dramas really that go on. Sometimes I find if I've worked for a company multiple times, then you kind of get past the employee stage and into the like, oh, we're sort of friends now stage. And that's when you start then getting pulled into some of the sort of behind the scenes drama and things that can sometimes go on, because we're theatre-y people, we're performy people, so sometimes people are a bit dramatic, and I don't like to be involved in that in any way. So as soon as that starts happening, I kind of do a Homer Simpson and reverse into the hedge, so but the thing I'm really enjoying right now is voiceover work. I have been saying for years that I wanted to bloody get into it, because we had all the equipment at home to be able to do it, because my husband was a musician, so all the stuff was there. I just never bothered to learn, and it literally took having a mental breakdown and becoming a hermit for me to actually go, oh, do you know what, maybe whilst I'm sat at home being a misery guts, I could do this course and learn how to do voiceover properly. So the company I did the training through, they're called Gravy for the Brain. I would tell you who it's run by, but I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm not that organised. One of the guys is the guy that does the X Factor voice. The big boomy guy. They have online courses that you can do. So you can learn all the technical side of it, best ways to find work, all of that business. I literally did all of those courses within 1 month. You can have a membership, and they've got sort of a forum where you can chat with other voiceover artists, and they put up different workshops and online sort of chats and things throughout the month. So there are always new videos for you to watch and learn from. In the forum, they've got experts in there, so when I was setting up my sort of sound booth, I could set it up, do a test recording and send it to them and say, right, do you think this is professional level recording? And they could say, this part's great, could you send me a photo, this, maybe change this part, change this bit on your software, blah, 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 and get you to a level where you can then apply for jobs and come across as professionally as possible. Because I thought, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it properly. God, it's the best thing I've ever done. My success rate doing voiceover is phenomenally higher than the amount of auditions I get for acting work. I think it's a less crowded industry. it's easier to stand out in your auditions doing voiceover than it is performing, I find. Some of the tips that they gave you on Gravy for the Brain was, you'll ask for, say, 50 submissions, and half of them will just record something on their phone so you can hear their voice. All you need to do is go into your professional setup and record it professionally, and you're already in the top half. And then they said, if you also then edit it so that it kind of gives them an idea of how it would sound as a completed product. For example, if you were to add backing music because you're auditioning for a commercial or something, that then gives them a great idea of how it might sound as an end product, and also shows that you're willing to put in the effort and professionalism that they're looking for. And I've kind of followed that advice, and has been very successful. I think I've earned more money doing voiceover in the last few months than I've ever earned from any side hustle I've ever done, which is crazy. I mean, I've been on minimum wage my entire life, and every time I've asked for a pay rise from any job I've done, I've ended up being let go. Or they say, oh, sorry, we can't afford it. And then I feel like, well, I've told you now I'm not happy with what I'm being paid, so now I feel like I'm going to have to leave and find something else. It's crazy. Crazy. So a lot of the, I've had loads of random bits and bobs of voiceover to do, but the stuff I really have loved doing is audiobooks. I'm quite a reader. I love reading. So getting to do audiobooks is great because I'm narrating the whole thing. I get to do different voices, and it's kind of acting in its own way. I'm not being myself and reading an advert and trying to sell you something. I'm performing a book for you. Another one I've been doing is an audio series, which is a similar thing, but it's an ongoing series. So I've had regular episodes coming in for me to record, which is fantastic. And I really would not have been able to do any of this without doing Gravy for the Brain. So highly recommend looking at that. So I just had to have a glug of water because I had a bowl of cereal, and dairy just isn't my friend, and it makes me burp, and I really shouldn't have it before I'm about to go and record stuff, but here we are. Next question. Where do you find your creative jobs? Where do I find them? The obvious choice is Spotlight. I know not everyone has Spotlight, and that's absolutely fine. I think it's tricky because so many casting directors really do rely on Spotlight, and they're quite reluctant to try new websites like that. Some of them want to, but a lot of them, it's what they know and it works. So they kind of are using that. However, there are thousands and thousands of people on there. So, for every role that comes up, 2,000 people apply for it. It's absolutely crazy. So trying to stand out on there is tricky. It's not impossible, but it is tricky. So it does mean if you do get an audition through, you should feel really pleased and proud of getting just that far, because it means you've got whatever skill set they need or whatever look they're after that has stood you out amongst 2,000 other people. So good for you. Good for you. Sometimes I'll see things on Spotlight and I have already had a connection with the casting director in the past. Sometimes in the Spotlight ad, they will say, please no emails unless you're not on Spotlight, which is fine. And, I would respect whatever they've written in there. But if they haven't written that, sometimes I will then email the casting director directly and say, hey, I've just seen you've posted this that you're casting, and I just wanted to highlight a couple of things. I wouldn't email and just say, I've just submitted myself, just wanted to let you know, because that's not giving them anything new. But if I wanted to highlight something in particular, I would say, oh, just so you know, I've recently worked on this. You can see this footage here. If you look at my recent Instagram video, here's the link. I actually did this version of this song, which I think really supports or suits whatever role it is they're looking for. Especially because also I am currently represented by an agent, and so I can't apply for things myself. I can only nudge my agent. So sometimes I'll nudge them, and people are busy. They have their own lives, and I trust my agent will submit me for the things I'm requesting. But sometimes I think it's nice to email as well and say, just so you know, I've requested my agent to submit me, but I just really didn't want to miss out on being considered for this role. Here are some things that you might like to know, Other places I find the work, though, is actually on social media. Not everyone's a fan of socials, but Facebook and Instagram are where I see an awful lot of castings. And actually, if you're currently looking for panto work, there is a group on Facebook called Celebrate Pantomime. And I got put onto that group from another person who I'd worked with on the Polar Express, because I was looking for a panto job, and they had one come up near them in Scotland, but it was just a bit too far for me. And then he said, why don't you check out this group? So I joined that group. Loads of auditions get posted in there, loads of casting opportunities. That year I had so many auditions for panto. Lots of unsuccessful ones, I might add. Definitely not hunky-dory, but just the opportunity to go and audition was helpful. And actually that's where I found the adult panto jobs that I ended up getting last year. So that was really, really helpful. So if you're looking for panto work, Celebrate Pantomime on Facebook. That's where you want to go, okay? The next question is, do you think it's important to go to drama school? Oh, God. What a loaded question. Yes and no. In terms of the training that you get, the regular training, I think it's great. In theory, it sets you up for a professional career with the skill set that is expected of you. And yes, in terms of the contacts that you make and the leg up it will give you into the industry. Because I know some casting directors who will only see people who have been to drama school. Lots of them are not like that, and it's just personal opinion. But until you've got sort of some decent credits behind you, some of them won't even see you, But I didn't go to drama school. The reason I didn't go was because I couldn't afford it. And I think, maybe it's changing, but to me it feels like drama school is for people who have the money and the access to it. I don't think it's impossible for other people from different backgrounds to be able to go, but it feels like it's made out to be this huge thing. And it is, and good for you if you get into drama school, but it almost feels like, if I get into drama school, that means I'm a real performer, I'm a real actor. And it's like that's the validation you need to prove to yourself and to everybody else that you are talented enough to do it professionally, which then almost makes you feel like, well, if you don't go, that means you're not a real performer, are you? I think when I was younger, I really wanted to go, but I just couldn't afford it. So I ended up going to Winchester Uni and doing drama and creative writing, thinking, well, maybe that'll give me some of the training that, not as hardcore as they would get in drama school, but at least it's something. And I started off doing 50-50 between those two subjects. But after my first year, I ended up changing to doing 75% creative writing and only 25% drama, because it was so heavily theory-based. And I was like, that's not what I'm interested in. I'm not interested in the theory-based, I just want to perform. So the modules I ended up choosing to do for the next 2 years, I would choose the modules that had a performance element to the grading. That was my decision making. It wasn't even that I particularly liked the module. It was just because there was some sort of performance element. I don't know, I think when I was younger I really wanted to go, but maybe I was a bit resentful for not being able to go. And feeling like I was on the back foot, like people won't see me because I don't have that school written on my CV. But I think now I'm not sure I would want to go. Not because I don't think I could do it, but lots of people are kind of sharing their stories of going to drama school nowadays on TikTok and things, and some people had a lovely time and lots of other people did not. And I don't think I would have had the mental capacity to deal with it, to be honest. Now I feel totally different. Like, I'm okay having not gone. It's funny when you sort of meet other performers, quite often one of the questions people ask you is, where did you train? And it's not, did you train anywhere? And whenever I then get to say, no, I didn't train anywhere, I trained at the School of Life, thank you very much, they always seem surprised, which also kind of solidifies to me this feeling of like, oh, you didn't go to drama school. Oh, then it almost feels like people sometimes are going, well, how did you get this job if you didn't go to drama school? Which I know is, is probably all in my own head, but sometimes that's how it feels, I don't think drama school is the be all and end all. I know lots of successful people that didn't go to drama school. And quite frankly, right now, I'm performing full time. So I'm okay with it, actually. Thank you. That's not poo-pooing, though, if you have got in. Like, bravo, everyone who's got into drama school. And I wish you all the success in the world, my friends. You're going to be fantastic. I just don't think drama school sometimes prepares you for actually what it's like once you're out of drama school, because you kind of go from being in this full-time training bubble, performing every day, and then you graduate. And if you haven't got a job lined up immediately, which is almost certainly what a lot of people are feeling like is going to happen, then it can be quite disheartening. And that's when I think people can get into a little bit of a Debbie Downer bubble, And I think drama schools could probably help prepare you better for actually what it's really like, because obviously they want all of the people they've trained to go into performing full time in some way so that they can shout about how successful all their students are. I think just certainly like mentally preparing people for what it's like would be helpful in the long term. How do you keep sane when it's quiet on the creative front? I don't. No. You'll probably notice if I'm quiet, I post a lot more videos on my Instagram or my TikTok, because doing like at least one creative thing a day makes me feel like I'm working on something and I'm not just sitting around and twiddling my thumbs and waiting for the next thing to fall in my lap. On Instagram, there's someone called Audrey Helps Actors podcast, who every May they do a self-tape May. And I did it a few years ago, and then I did it for a few years in a row. And throughout the month of May, you have to film 16 self-tapes. And they can be for anything. They can be short, long, theatre, film, commercials. There's no like rule, really, other than to make sure that you do actually film it in May. She'll have like in each of your videos, you need to show a paperclip or something like that, so that they know that you've not just used a really old tape and just pretended that you've done it. It's to encourage you to be creative. I found that really helpful. Oh God, other things I do to keep sane. Especially in lockdown, I taught myself how to play piano. That was another thing that I was like, I'd really love to be able to play an instrument. And literally there have been pianos in the house for the last 12 years and I never did anything about it. I think I'm quite self-conscious about learning it with other people in the house, because my husband plays incredibly well and my stepson taught himself as well and he plays incredibly well as well. So I think I feel self-conscious because I taught myself to play so that I could play and sing along with it. So I really do sort of chord work, really. But I can blag my way through some songs now. I basically just fill my time with things to do so I don't have dead time, because I find if I'm sat around thinking about all the creative work that I'm not getting to do, that's when I'll get into a pit of horror. And I know what that looks like. So if I know that's happening and I'm somewhat self-aware of it, I do like to go outside. Go outside, guys. get some fresh air. I have 2 dogs, so quite, every day I know I'm taking those dogs for a walk, even if it's just half an hour, and quite often it is now because one of my dogs is quite old and slow, so we can't go for sort of, hour-long walks anymore with him, bless him. But the fresh air really helps reset my brain from the fog. Just binge series on Netflix. God, I'm currently going through a Buffy the Vampire Slayer binge right now. I used to watch that when I was younger, and I'm just reliving the younger days. And God, what a fantastic program that is. It is so well written. Oh my God. Just go mooch around town, read a book. I love to read. I'm currently reading, if anyone gives a shit, Pride and Prejudice. I've never read any Jane Austen. And then my husband bought me the complete works at the end of last year. And I was like, okay, I'll give it a go. So I did Sense and Sensibility. And then I made the mistake of going straight into Pride and Prejudice. And I really should have read something else in between, because you have to concentrate. It's not an easy read. You really have to concentrate. I want to read things like, I love the Thursday Murder Club. I love a cheesy murder mystery. I'd really like to read more Stephen King. I've read a few of his, but I really want to read The Shining, I just need something other than Pride and Prejudice. But unfortunately, I am one of those people where if I'm reading a book, I can't read another book at the same time, because I just forget what happens otherwise in the other book that I'm reading. So I need to power through Pride and Prejudice. Let me tell you, it takes some powering through. I also like to just meet up with friends. I don't get to see people all the time. And when I'm doing Amdram shows, I do at least get to see people once a week, which is lovely, and get out of my house. But I've not done Amdram shows for the last couple of years, which feels really weird because I did it for 18 years. So in its place, I try to make an effort to meet up with people, especially when I start doing a job, if I'm doing panto, for example, I don't see anybody. So I need to do all my socialising in the time that I actually have available. So I'm suddenly really busy, going for fucking ladies who lunch every day, because that's who I am. And also, if I'm quiet on the creative front, to stay sane, I do apply for a lot of creative jobs, as many as I can be asked to apply for, provided I'm suitable for them. I would have applied for everything when I was younger, but now, I've done enough jobs that were absolute horrors that now I'm quite picky, and I'm okay with that. And I'm okay with saying no to people if I want to. And actually doing voiceover work is really great for that, because there's, if you want to get into it, there's a website called Voice123 where people post a lot of voiceover jobs. You have your demo reels, which sometimes they're happy for you to just send them those. But a lot of them ask for a custom audition for whatever project they're casting for. And they can take 10 minutes to do. Once you get savvy with it, they're really, really quick. But it just gives you 20 minutes of your day doing something creative, just applying for stuff. And, you never know. You never know where it might lead, I literally did that for one audiobook. And since then, I've managed, because I did that one, I managed to get that one job with that company. That company now sends me private castings rather than me having to apply on the website. And I've done 3 audiobooks with them since. So you never know where these things could go. Another website which is quite good is voices.com. I don't use that one as much because I felt okay, if I'm going to pay my money for one casting website, I just need to pick one for now and be sensible, especially because I have limited income at the moment. I go with Voices123 and my success rate on that is great. Literally one job covers the website fee. So great. Another question. Are there any creative jobs you'd really love to do? Gosh, I love doing loads of different things. I don't really like being put in a box. I love doing theatre. I love doing musical theatre. I love doing film work. I actually really like doing extra work sometimes as well. Sometimes you get a really good extras job and they're really fun. And I don't really have like dream roles or dream shows, to be honest, apart from Paddington, the musical. Some people listening to this might already know that, because I feel in my bones that I need to be in that show. And it's going to happen at some point. Let me tell you, it's out in the universe and I'm going to be in Paddington the musical. There's so many roles in that I would want to do. So I would just want to swing and cover lots of different roles, because God, it's just such a joy-bringing show. I literally left that theatre and I thought I would go back in right now and watch it again. No questions asked. That's the only show I've ever watched where I was like, I need to be in this. You know, there's loads of things that I like, but nothing touched the sides like that. I would love also to work on more horror films, I guess. I love a scream queen. I am a horror nerd. Even the horror films that are considered like bad horror films, like Piranha and Winnie the Pooh, I don't care. I love those. My God, I literally have a subscription. Oh, this is very revealing. I have a subscription to a magazine called Scream Magazine, which is literally a horror magazine. It's just full of different horror films and interviews with people and new stuff, old stuff. I fucking love it. I loves it. I do. You know, I'd love to work with directors like Sam Raimi. I just love that genre. On the other hand, I do love like a sweeping medieval epic. Stick me in Game of Thrones, stick me in Lord of the Rings. I would be a happy bunny. I mean, I watched every documentary on that Lord of the Rings DVD multiple times. Okay? Extended versions, of course. But how do we get into those? Fucking networking, isn't it? Ooh! I mean, aside from being actually talented at performing, just be a nice person to work with. I'd say that's probably 80% of getting a job, is just being good to work with. You turn up on time, you do your job well, you're nice to other people. You get to know other people, not just like the performers around you that you're working directly with. Get to know all the backstage people. Get to know the lighting guy. You know, who's on sound on that film? Go and ask him. Who's the best boy? Go and ask him. What do they do? Chat to strangers. I mean, I was literally walking the dog the other week and dog walkers talk to each other. I recognise this dog, and there's this man with this fantastic beard in a plait who walks this dog, and we got chatting. And my dog is called Paddington, which is not because of Paddington the musical. That's just a pure coincidence. And he's a little husky, so we were chatting. And the guy said, "Oh, that's so strange. I was the best boy on the Paddington film." And I was like, "What? What? You're walking round my little park from my house and you were best boy on Paddington?" And he was waiting to see if he was going to get a job on another TV series coming up. And I didn't even know what a best boy was. So we were chatting willy-nilly about that. What an interesting chap. My stepson the other day, he went and got his hair cut and was chatting to this couple in the hairdressers, and one of them was a conductor, and their daughter had played Elphaba on the West End. Of course, it's my stepson, so he didn't get their names, for God's sake. But apparently they performed for the Queen, you know? Just chat to people. Networking doesn't have to be like going to a networking event and handing out business cards. It can literally just be chatting to people on the street. My mother-in-law is fantastic at doing that. And actually, she's probably one of the reasons I do it more often now, because she literally will talk to anyone. And she always says, "Oh, you look interesting." And that's the opener. That's the opening line in. And obviously, a little bit of luck goes a long way, doesn't it? And hopefully you'll just be in the right place at the right time. One can only hope. I do think things happen for a reason. Literally have a mental breakdown. They're fun. But that literally then put me into just doing voiceover work. And since then, I've had more voiceover work than any other type of performing work. And then I got made redundant from my writing job, and I was like, oh my God, what do I do now? But somehow the performing work has taken over. Bad things happen and they can seem like they're bad at the time, but I usually think there's a reason for it, and things always seem to just work themselves out in the end. So that's the end of my questions. Thanks for sending those in. I hope this was interesting. If you don't like the sound of my voice, well, hopefully next time I'll have someone else to talk to as well. If you are working in the creative industry and you are working in a job that you think people might find interesting to know about, especially ones I haven't already covered, or if you've got, something new to add to stuff that I've already chatted to people about, just drop us a message on Instagram. It's @thetheatremum. And, if you've got something you think people might like to hear, come on board. We'll sort something out, shall we? Sort something out. I'll actually get off my arse and try and arrange with some people to interview, because I've got a few more people who have some really cool jobs that I think you might like to hear about. And I much prefer chatting about them with other people rather than by myself. Although I do talk to myself a lot at home, so this is really just indulging my need to talk to someone, because everyone else is out working, so I don't see anyone in the daytime. So I'm just keeping myself sane by talking to myself. Anyway, thank you so much for listening, and from one creative to another, break a leg, guys. Bum, 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 bum.